Hey everyone, welcome back. You've been really diving deep into some fascinating material, philosophical, and spiritual texts. And we're here to help you kind of unearth the nuggets of wisdom that can really make an impact.
Yeah, it's really interesting how these ancient texts, they can often really challenge our modern perspective.
Right.
And offer these kind of timeless insights into, just being human.
Absolutely. In this deep dive, we're going to be exploring part 12 of Uyu'ei, that's Who Are We, by Huis Alala al-Halabi. And specifically, we're looking at this concept of living two lives.
Okay.
And it's an idea that's come up in various wisdom traditions.
Yeah.
And it really got me thinking.
It's a powerful idea.
Yeah.
This idea that along with this everyday life that we all experience, there's this parallel eternal life that's unfolding.
Right. So it's not just about getting through the day.
Yeah.
It's about this deeper, more continuous journey. I admit I tend to get caught up in the day-to-day.
I think that's a really common human experience.
Oh, for sure.
The ancient philosophers, they really believed that this understanding, this eternal aspect of ourselves,
Right.
was really key to living a fulfilling life.
Yeah.
They saw our current life as just one chapter
Okay.
in a much larger story.
And here's where it gets really interesting. The book talks about this idea of carrying baggage from previous lives into our present one.
Right.
Now I'm picturing like a literal backpack, filled with like past regrets.
Well, it's more metaphorical.
Okay.
But the idea is that, we carry with us unresolved lessons and experiences, even talents from past lives. And these things really shape who we are today.
So it's not just like, just these random quirks. It's
Yeah.
going to be clues to a deeper story.
Exactly. Think about those recurring patterns,
Yeah.
that we all struggle with.
Oh, totally.
Maybe it's, fear of commitment or a tendency to overwork.
Yeah.
These could be, echoes of past experiences that we haven't quite learned from yet.
That's a bit mind-blowing to think about. So where does this cycle of carrying this baggage end?
Well, that's where the concept of liberation comes in.
Right.
So, traditions like Buddhism and Hinduism, they talk about reaching a state of nirvana or moksha,
Right.
where we finally break free from this cycle of rebirth.
Okay.
It's like we're all on this journey of self-discovery,
Yeah.
shedding layers of baggage with each lifetime until we achieve complete liberation.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this idea of liberation.
Yeah.
So the book uses this really cool analogy of a nautilus shell
Yeah.
to describe this journey. Can you unpack that a bit more?
Okay, so the nautilus shell, is that beautiful spiral,
Right.
with each chamber representing a stage of spiritual development.
Okay.
As the nautilus grows, it moves into larger, more complex chambers.
Right.
And similarly, as we progress through these lifetimes, hopefully we're gaining wisdom and understanding
Okay.
and moving closer to that state of liberation.
I love that visual. But it makes you wonder, does modern life make it harder to advance through those chambers?
Yeah.
I mean, we're constantly bombarded with, just information distractions, and it often feels like society pushes us to focus on these external achievements rather than inner growth.
It's a really critical point.
Yeah.
And, the book actually criticizes modern education for neglecting a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe.
Okay.
It focuses on practical skills and knowledge
Right.
for material success,
Right.
but it often overlooks the wisdom that can guide us on that inner journey.
So we're getting a great education for building a career,
Right.
but maybe not such a great one for understanding, our own minds and souls. And this disconnect, as the book suggests, could be contributing to a lot of the problems that we see in society today.
Exactly. When we're constantly striving for that external validation and material wealth,
Right.
we may lose sight of what truly matters. Our inner peace, our connection to something greater, our purpose.
That really resonates with me. It makes you wonder if we shifted our focus from those outward achievements to inner development, could we create a more harmonious and fulfilling society?
It's a really thought-provoking question.
It is.
And despite, these challenges of modern life, the book does highlight that connecting with our eternal nature
Right.
can be this source of immense strength, even in the face of adversity.
And there's a really powerful example of this, the story of Boethius, right?
Yes, Boethius was this Roman philosopher imprisoned for his pursuit of truth
Okay.
and facing execution.
Wow.
He found solace not in denying his fate, but in embracing the eternal nature of truth and goodness. And, his writings, they became a beacon of hope for many throughout history, proving that even in the darkest of times,
Right.
we can find strength in connecting to something larger than ourselves.
His story really highlights the power of looking inward when facing these external challenges. And it's interesting how the book, connects this idea of seeking solace to our relationship with nature.
Yeah.
And this brings us to another key figure, Henry David Thoreau.
Thoreau's experiment of living simply in a cabin in the woods, as he documented in Walden, reminds us of the restorative and enlightening power of nature.
Right.
Even today, amidst the hustle and bustle of modern life.
For sure.
Connecting with nature, whether it's a walk in the park, tending a garden, or simply gazing at the stars, can offer us this profound sense of grounding and perspective.
It makes you wonder what would happen if we all carved out more time for those simple yet profound experiences.
Yeah, imagine that shift in perspective.
Yeah.
But, Oasis doesn't just dwell on these historical examples.
Right.
It introduces us to a compelling contemporary figure who embodies these principles in a captivating way.
Okay.
And that's Anastasia.
Ah, yes. The story of Anastasia raised in the Siberian wilderness, who shares her wisdom in the popular book series by Vladimir Megre. Her life story is incredibly intriguing.
It truly is.
Yeah.
Raised by her grandmother in the vast taiga.
Wow.
Anastasia developed a unique connection to nature
Oh.
and a deep understanding of its rhythms and wisdom.
Okay.
Her story speaks to the potential for living in harmony with nature and awakening our dormant human capabilities.
And what's fascinating is that Anastasia's message aligns perfectly with this concept of living in alignment with our eternal selves.
Right.
She emphasizes the importance of love, positive energy, and realizing our full potential. It's like she's a living example of how these ancient principles can be applied in modern times.
She offers a really captivating model for how to reconnect with our true nature and live in greater harmony with the world around us.
And one of the most intriguing aspects of her teachings involves creating a very special kind of garden.
Yes.
Anastasia's garden.
Anastasia's garden.
This is where things get really interesting. It's not just about growing tomatoes and cucumbers. What makes this garden so special?
Well, it's about cultivating a space that resonates with your energy. A sanctuary that nourishes not just your body, but your soul.
Okay.
Anastasia outlines specific practices for creating this kind of garden, and we'll dive into those a little bit later.
I can't wait. But before we move on, I want to just acknowledge that, all this talk of ancient wisdom and eternal lives,
Right.
it might feel a bit abstract, especially in the context of our, busy modern lives.
I agree.
It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and lose sight of these bigger questions.
Absolutely. But I think that's precisely why these ancient teachings are so relevant today. They offer us this framework for understanding ourselves and our place in the universe.
Right.
A compass for navigating the complexities of modern life.
So as we move forward, let's keep those bigger questions in mind. How can these ancient insights inform our daily choices and actions? How can we bridge the gap between our eternal nature and our modern lives?
Those are excellent questions to ponder. And, as we continue our exploration, we'll delve deeper into Anastasia's teachings, exploring the practical steps she offers for cultivating a garden that nourishes both body and soul.
Sounds good. Okay, so we're diving into Anastasia's garden now, this concept that really piqued my curiosity. You mentioned it's not just about growing tomatoes and cucumbers. What makes this garden so special?
It's about cultivating a space that really resonates with your energy, a sanctuary that nourishes not just your body, but your soul. And Anastasia, she outlines specific practices for creating this kind of garden.
I'm all ears. What kind of practices are we talking about?
Well, one of the key principles is planting according to lunar cycles, something that many ancient cultures practiced. It's about attuning your garden to the natural rhythms of the cosmos.
So you're saying the moon's phases actually impact plant growth? I've heard whispers of that, but always thought it was more folklore than fact.
Well, there's actually a growing body of scientific evidence that supports the influence of lunar cycles on plant growth.
Really?
For example, some studies have shown that planting seeds during specific moon phases can influence germination rates and yields.
Wow, that's fascinating. I'm starting to see how this blends ancient wisdom with the modern understanding of nature. What else makes Anastasia's garden unique?
Another practice she emphasizes is preserving a wide variety of plant species, a principle that resonates with the idea of biodiversity. It's about creating a thriving ecosystem in your garden, a microcosm of the natural world.
And wouldn't that create a more resilient garden less susceptible to pests and diseases?
Exactly. By encouraging biodiversity, you create a natural balance that helps to ward off those issues.
Okay, this is all making sense. But then there's that other element Anastasia talks about that seems a bit more esoteric, infusing seeds with personal energy and intention.
That's where things get really interesting.
Right.
She believes that by holding the seeds in your hands and focusing your positive energy and intentions into them before planting, you're imbuing them with a life force that contributes to their growth and vitality.
So it's almost like you're giving the seeds a little pep talk before they go out into the world.
You could say that it's about recognizing the interconnectedness of all things and acknowledging the power of our thoughts and intentions to influence the world around us.
This resonates with something I've been pondering lately. The idea that we often underestimate the impact our thoughts and emotions have on our surroundings. If we can infuse something as small as a seed with positive energy, what could we achieve by applying that same principle to our interactions with people, our work, even our challenges?
That's a really powerful insight.
Yeah.
Anastasia's garden becomes this microcosm of this principle, a tangible way to experience the power of conscious intention.
It also makes me think about the act of gardening itself. It can be quite meditative, being out in nature, working with the soil, nurturing these little seedlings. Could this be another way Anastasia's garden fosters a deeper connection with ourselves and the natural world?
Absolutely. The process of tending a garden can be deeply grounding and therapeutic. It connects us to the rhythms of nature, teaches us patience and resilience, and allows us to experience the joy of creation firsthand.
It's a beautiful reminder that even in our modern tech-driven world, we still have this primal connection to the earth. We are a part of nature. Not separate from it, but Z doesn't shy away from critiquing aspects of modern society that seem to encourage that separation, right?
You're right. The book argues that there's a deliberate push in modern society to disconnect us from our true nature, to keep us trapped in a cycle of consumerism and external validation.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. What are some of the specific ways the book suggests this is happening? I'm curious to hear your take on this.
Well, the book points to the relentless advertising that bombards us with messages that we're not good enough, that we need to buy more things to be happy. It also criticizes the education system for prioritizing conformity and obedience over critical thinking and self-discovery.
And social media definitely plays a role here, right? It's
Yeah.
easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves to others, striving for likes and followers, feeling inadequate if we don't measure up to some idealized image.
Absolutely. Social media can be a double-edged sword. While it can connect us and offer platforms for sharing positive messages, it can also amplify feelings of inadequacy and fuel a relentless pursuit of external validation. It becomes easy to lose sight of our authentic selves in the curated world of online personas.
So it's a bit of a trap, this modern life. We're encouraged to seek fulfillment in external things, possessions, status, appearances, but it ultimately leaves us feeling empty and disconnected.
That's the danger the book highlights. But it also emphasizes that we have a choice. We can choose to resist those forces and reclaim our power. We can choose to focus on inner growth, cultivating genuine connections, and living in alignment with our values.
And that's where Anastasia's message of love and connection comes in. It's not about rejecting the modern world altogether, but about finding a way to navigate it with intention and awareness, right?
Precisely. We can use the tools and resources available to us to create a life that is both meaningful and fulfilling. It's about finding a balance between the material and the spiritual, the external and the internal.
And that brings us back to the concept of the two lives, the everyday life we experience, and that deeper, eternal journey of the soul. It seems like Anastasia's teachings offer a practical way to bridge those two worlds.
She provides a roadmap for living in greater alignment with our true nature, for integrating ancient wisdom into our modern lives. And it's not just about grand gestures. It can be as simple as creating a garden that nourishes both body and soul.
I love that idea. It makes these concepts feel less intimidating and more accessible. But Wu's doesn't just focus on personal growth. It also explores the potential for positive change on a societal level, right?
You're right. The book argues that if enough individuals choose to embrace these principles, love, compassion, connection to nature, we can create a ripple effect that transforms the world around us.
That's a powerful thought. It reminds me of the quote, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." But it's one thing to say that, and another to actually live it. How do we translate these lofty ideals into concrete actions?
That's the challenge, isn't it? But I think it starts with small steps with conscious choices in our daily lives. It's about asking ourselves, what brings me joy? What aligns with my values? How can I contribute to creating a more loving and harmonious world?
Those are great questions to ponder. It seems like we're coming full circle here, back to that idea of living in alignment with our eternal selves. If we can connect with that deeper part of ourselves, maybe the answers to those questions will become clearer.
That's a beautiful insight. And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. Imagine a world where everyone is striving to live in alignment with their true nature, where love and compassion are the guiding principles. What would that world look like, and what role can you play in creating it?
Those are definitely questions worth pondering. And in the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore how these concepts of ancient wisdom can empower us to not only create more fulfilling lives for ourselves, but also contribute to a more positive and hopeful future for all.
Okay, so we've covered so much in this deep dive, from the two lives concept to Anastasia's incredible story, and this unique way of gardening. It's a lot. But I feel like there's a connecting thread, this idea of like tapping into our true nature and, really living a more meaningful life.
Yeah, it's about bridging that gap,
Yeah.
between that ancient wisdom that we've talked about that's been passed down for centuries and the realities of our modern lives.
Right.
And it's not always easy.
Yeah, we're bombarded with messages that kind of pull us in every direction.
Absolutely.
Telling us to strive for material success or the perfect Instagram feed.
Yeah, it's like a constant battle against these external forces.
So how do we stay grounded? How do we focus on what truly matters? How do we actually live these principles that we've been discussing?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is. And I don't think there's one easy answer.
Yeah.
But the texts you've been exploring, I think they offer some really valuable clues. Remember Boethius finding solace in the eternal nature of truth and goodness, even when facing execution.
Right?
He reminds us that connecting to something larger than ourselves can give us strength and resilience no matter what challenges we face.
It's so powerful to remember his story that, in the darkest times, there's this inner light that we can always tap into.
Yeah.
And thinking about Thoreau's experience at Walden Pond, it seems like nature plays a key role in helping us access that wisdom.
Absolutely. Spending time in nature, hiking in the mountains, walking in a park, even just sitting under a tree can help us quiet those thoughts and reconnect with that deeper sense of peace and clarity.
Yeah, it's like hitting the reset button on our minds.
Exactly.
And allowing ourselves to kind of tune into a different frequency.
Yeah.
It's funny, I've always loved being in nature, but never thought about it as this pathway to spiritual growth. It was more like escaping the city, enjoying the fresh air, but now I'm seeing how it's so much more than that.
It can be a powerful practice.
It can.
And then we have Anastasia, who takes this connection with nature to a whole other level.
Right.
Her teachings about creating a garden that nourishes both body and soul give us a tangible way to integrate these principles into our daily life.
It's such a beautiful metaphor, this garden, for cultivating a life that's in line with our true nature.
Yes.
It's about paying attention to the rhythms of nature, nurturing that connection to the earth, and really infusing our actions with intention.
And remember, it's not just about the end result, the beautiful flowers, the bountiful harvest.
Yeah.
It's about the process. Those daily rituals of tending to the garden, observing those subtle changes, learning from the cycles of growth and decay.
It's like a practice in mindfulness and patience.
Exactly.
And gratitude. It's like this microcosm of life itself.
It is.
We plant the seeds, we nurture them, we face challenges along the way, and eventually we kind of reap what we sow. But it's not passive. We have to show up and put in the effort and make those choices, every step of the way.
Exactly. And that's where personal responsibility comes in. The book Ooh, it argues that we have a choice.
Right.
We can either succumb to the forces that try to control us and keep us, trapped in that cycle of consumerism and dissatisfaction, or we can reclaim our power and choose to live in alignment with our values.
It's about taking ownership, and consciously creating the reality that we want to experience. But it's not easy, especially with all the noise and distractions.
Right.
Do you have any advice on how to stay focused on that path of intentional living?
Well, it's a continuous journey, and there will be bumps along the way. But a few things I think that can help are cultivating a daily practice of mindfulness, whether it's meditation, journaling, spending time in nature, or even just taking a few moments to breathe and connect to the present moment. Surround yourself with positive influences, people, books, podcasts, experiences that uplift and inspire you to be your best, and most importantly, be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
It's okay to make mistakes, to stumble, to have doubts.
Yeah.
The key is to just keep coming back to your center,
Right.
those core values that guide you on your path.
Such great reminders. It's easy to get caught up in the shoulds and the have-tos that we forget to just, be present.
Right.
And connect with what matters. But what about the bigger picture? The book also talks about the potential for positive change on a societal level.
Yes. It suggests that if enough people embrace these principles of love, compassion, and connection, we can create a ripple effect that transforms the world.
So it's not just about personal growth, it's about contributing to this collective awakening.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we're all interconnected, and our individual actions have an impact on the whole.
Right.
By choosing to live in alignment with our highest values, we create a more fulfilling life for ourselves, but we also contribute to a more just compassionate and sustainable world.
It's such a powerful vision. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by everything that's happening in the world.
Yeah.
But this conversation has given me a new sense of hope and possibility.
That's great.
It's a reminder that even small actions can make a difference, and that by focusing on our own growth, we can contribute to a larger transformation.
And that brings us right back to the concept of the two lives.
It does.
The choices we make in our everyday lives, the intentions we set, the actions we take, they all shape our present reality, but also the ongoing journey of our soul.
Right.
It's a reminder that we have the power to create a life that is both meaningful and fulfilling for ourselves and for the world around us.
This has been an incredible journey.
It has.
We've explored some really profound concepts, from the cyclical nature of existence to the power of connecting with nature and, living in alignment with ourselves. It's a lot to think about and even more to put into practice.
I encourage you to continue exploring these ideas, experiment with what resonates with you, and find your own unique way to, integrate these ancient wisdom teachings into your modern life. Remember, the journey of self-discovery is ongoing, and there's always more to learn and experience.
Thank you so much for guiding us through this deep dive. I feel like I have a new perspective on life and a renewed sense of purpose. And to all of you listening, we hope this conversation has inspired you to, embark on your own journey of self-discovery and to really embrace the power of ancient wisdom to create a more meaningful and fulfilling life. Thanks for joining us.